Hey everybody, welcome back to Everyday Journey. We're going to check out the what I plan to power my greenhouse with. Mentioned it in the previous video about what I had, what I was waiting on, and what I was waiting on was this. This is a, and I'll put it here with this camera. This is a, what is it? LNEX Exico, EXICO, solar charge controller. It was, I got it on Amazon. It was real cheap. And I was always on the fence. I had this, I have my solar panels that are outside right now, running up through with this cable right here. And they're out in the sun right now, so that's hot, I guess you would say. And it was a kit from Harbor Freight, and it comes with a charge controller. But I've heard a lot of things saying that the charge controllers with that are not really good for these type of batteries. This battery here being one of the lithium iron phosphate batteries. And so I want to make sure this is an expensive battery. Individually, I think it was $200 something or whatever. And it should be enough. It's 100 amp hours, so it should be enough to, as long as it's completely charged, and I can keep the charging up past the, at the right thresholds. And hopefully, this is a 100-watt solar panel kit that I had. Hopefully it can produce enough to make sure that this thing stays powered enough to cover being at the right charge capacity and also being able to run the things I need to. And we'll see. I mean, it's all going to be done through a Arduino. And so I should be able to power things on and off as needed, depending on the states of the battery and different things like that. And we'll just, we'll play with that as we get to it. But right now, this is what I got. But so this is the replacement, and it is one of the cheapest ones I could find, except for I did specify that this thing be waterproof. So this thing, it says, IP65 is its waterproof capabilities, which should be good enough to be outside, or at least if I need to, I could put it underneath one of the panels so that the panel is shedding it from most water, and then this just gets the moisture in the air. But that's what I want to make sure, that this didn't matter where I put it. The battery will probably be inside the greenhouse, or I don't know, I'll figure out where I think is the best. It definitely needs to be kept from getting freezing, and it also needs to probably be out of the weather, out of the implements. So if need be, I'll make its own little enclosure, and I may even dig it underground and keep it covered up there so that I make sure that it's not going to freeze, or at least better chance of not freezing. But anyway, that's this. This is, like I said, this is a, was it Li-time battery? And let's just see what we got. So outside right now, and it's kind of a cloudy day. See if we can get this in view of this other camera. It's a little bit cloudy, and this should be, let me make sure it's on. And make sure it's set right. There we go. All right. So this is what we're getting at the moment. And that says nothing. All right. That says 23.1. Like I said, it is kind of cloudy. And this is a 10 amp charge controller. The battery actually says that it needs, I forgot what it said it needed. But I'm hoping that this will just do the job. We'll see. So that's what I'm getting from that, 23.1 volts. And let's see, the battery itself currently, I think it came charged better than this, but I think it may have something that reads the load. Right now it's showing 3 volts. So it definitely needs to be charged. I just couldn't charge it with what I had because I was afraid I was going to damage the battery, and that's the one thing I want to make sure I didn't do. This does have the function, at least it says anyway, and the function to be able to operate the lithium iron phosphate batteries. So we just got to hook it up. Right here at the bottom it's got the place to be able to hook up the solar panels. It's got the place to hook up the battery, and then it also has a place to hook up the thermometer to be able to read the temperature of the battery to help keep it from charging. I don't know if it's for freezing or if it's to keep it from charging or trying to charge or whatever when it gets too hot. I'll have to look into that. Right now it doesn't really matter. Really the biggest thing we got to worry about right now is the freezing part, because it is awfully cold outside. I think the high today here was supposed to be 37, and I think it's over above freezing currently, but I've had this in my basement until now, and I brought it out an hour or two ago and had it outside. It may be colder, but it shouldn't be freezing at all, so it should be completely safe. And this is just for testing purposes anyway. I am going to cut this. This is the cable that goes to my solar panels. I don't really need this end at the moment, so I'm going to cut and make sure this end right here that's completely covered, that's the positive. And so we're going to go ahead and start with that. And I'm going to cut this far enough back that I can reuse this connector. And as long as we're not grounded, we should be safe to do this one wire at a time. So there's the one, and yes, there is power to this. So you just have to be careful that you don't go any further than the one. And there we go. So we're through the one, and we could strip it back some. And I'm not even going to put any ends on this at the moment. I'm going to hook it directly up so that we can do our initial testing on this. I would either one, put the ends on it, or two, solder the ends here. That way it's a nice solid connection, and we don't have to worry about the possibility of this not connecting properly. But again, this is the positive. Make sure again. Yes, this is the positive. And we can read it too if we wanted to. If this is still connected, we can connect with the positive there, connect with the negative to the other end here, which we haven't cut yet, and we should get a reading. And it says 22 something, so yeah, definitely is the positive. The way this thing works is it has a cover that goes on the back side that after you make these connections, then you can go ahead and put that cover on it. And it also can be used to help mount it as well. And we just need to make sure that we're connecting up the right side. So here's the positive. My screwdriver. Guarantee or check again that is the positive. And that is actually the positive for the battery. That's not the one we want. We want the positive for the solar panels. And actually, you know what? I'm going to wait on that. I'm going to hook up the battery first. So we'll just set that aside for the moment because we do need the battery connected. And I'd rather make this connection with the battery already connected. Now, one of the things that you do want to do is we would like to fuse this, and in the future, and after this test, I'll go ahead and put up fuses. But for this initial test, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to verify that I'm hooking everything up properly, and we're not hooking any loads to it or anything like that. So the chances are less likely that anything's going to happen, and I'm willing to take that chance. For you, if you want to do this, you're taking that chance on your own. It should require, you should have fuses in. And in the future, I will put fuses in. So we're just making these wires as long as I need. Which is about that long right there. And we're going to make them both the same length. And mainly, I mean, this battery, it's supposed to have, it's supposed to be able to connect to your phone and all that stuff, which is kind of not needed, but at the same time, it could be interesting too. It wasn't much extra, so I went ahead and got it. And by much, I mean it wasn't very much at all, because I'm cheap and I won't pay much more than I have to for anything. So these are both the same length. I'm going to go ahead and do the positive first. And again, this is going to be the same thing. Figure out what the distance around the terminal is, because I'm just going to put the wire in the terminal for now. We'll put ends on it later, but for now, I just want to get this thing hooked up and check and see what the, all the functions of it. Definitely want to get a charge on it, although I may have to kind of pull it off today because it's a little cold out here. Not the best connection, but it is good. Let's go ahead and hook up our negative. With 3 volts, I don't think this thing's going to power up. Although, like I said, it may sense a load. And without the load on it, it may not actually read properly. I don't know for sure, but we'll find out. All right. I still got nothing at the moment. And this thing's only got 2 buttons on it, so I should have done something if it was going to there. Let's go ahead and focus on getting this hooked up now. So we got our positive. And then we'll cut and hook up our negative. Well, it's powering up now. Now we just have to figure out what it's meaning. So this could be an error code. Could be because, I'm doing things improperly. Let's see. Let me read what this thing says and see why it's saying that. I have looked at this already, and these instructions are very, very horrible. So that's coming up because it's saying that battery is connected or disconnected or less than 3 volts. So let's see what kind of reading we get at the battery. This thing's still on? Yep. So he's had 3 volts before. And we have even less. So this thing is definitely low, and it could be because it's cold. Not really sure. Let's go ahead and see, get a reading here at the solar panels again. Solar panels are showing 22.9. It may be that I have to actually charge this thing properly before I can get anything to work on it. We'll see. I'll look into it. I'll get right back with you, and we'll see what's going on with it. All right, so I did a little bit of more reading, and I think what's going on here, and I knew that this thing was asleep because I haven't been able to actually access the Bluetooth portion of it. So I think this is asleep, which is why we're not getting the readings we need to on this, although I would think it should read a little more than that, especially 3 volts. And then this right here has to sense a voltage because it's going from either 12 or 24 volts. So it needs to know what to charge at. So we basically need to make this 12 volts. So I've got this charger here. Problem is this is a 20 amp charge. This only does 4 amps. This charger here only can do 10 amps, and I forgot what comes from my solar panels. But all we can do is try, right? So let's see if this wakes anything up and actually makes some stuff work. So we're gonna hook up positive, and I'm gonna look at this and see if I see it actually trying to charge, see if the amp, see if it's moving anything. I just saw it move. I think it's trying to do something. This right here is now showing 13.2 volts. Looks like it's actually doing what it's supposed to. So I think we woke this thing up. Of course, what's coming in from the solar panels at this point in time is who knows what, because it's later on. It's about 4:30 right now, and it's just getting darker. I mean, it's not dark yet, but it's getting darker. I think sun's probably going down around 6 o'clock or something like that. So solar panels are not facing the sun directly anymore, and who knows what's going on. So anyway, what we got now is 13.2 volts coming from here. So things are working. This thing looks like it's working okay. 13.3, it's kind of teetering. So even though you're not supposed to charge these batteries with this kind of charger, I did look at, it's not really so much the initial charging that's the issue. It's more the charging, like the trickle charge towards the end. So that right there is where it could possibly damage it. So to initially charge it with this, as long as we're paying attention to how it's charging, make sure it's never, once it gets to the 13.6 volts or something like that, take it off, let this thing take over from that point. And actually, honestly, this can, of course, it probably won't do it yet because the battery needs to charge up first, but this, afterwards, after it's reached a good state, this will take over and charge it the rest of the way. So that's where we're at right now. I can look, let's see if I even have this on here anymore. And of course I didn't bring my glasses down here, my new glasses. I can look and see if this thing actually sees it. Let's see what happens if we disconnect the power. It's still showing 13.2 volts. So it now knows to charge it at that rate. Let's see what the battery itself is showing. And the battery is showing 13.1 at the moment. I'm not so sure what it will show after I see if I can disconnect it and see where it goes from there. So I'll disconnect the positive lead on it. See what happens. Of course, that's going crazy, of course. And it's still showing 13.1, so it was just in sleep mode. Problem is I can't leave it out here because I'd like to continue to charge it, but it's going to get below freezing. It's almost there now, and this thing's not really supposed to charge below freezing, so we'll go ahead and disconnect it for now. I'll leave this thing a little going, and then come back out here tomorrow whenever it warms up a little bit, charge it, see where it goes. This seems to work. This seems to work. And now all I got to do is have it connected to my solar panels, and definitely throughout the warmer times, this will give me hopefully a good power source to then run the things I want to run the greenhouse with. So this is the first start. I now have solar coming in, something to convert it over, well, something to properly charge this, excuse me, and this here to store the energy so that I have 100 amp hours worth, which is a lot. You know, this should be able to run most of the stuff in the greenhouse throughout the entire day. And if it's charging at the same time, hopefully it can stay on the positive end of everything to where it never really runs down. We'll see. Anyway, appreciate you watching. Definitely hit the like button, the subscribe button, hit the notification button so you know whenever I am getting or whenever I put out new videos. And until next time, y'all take care.